My name is Kenyana Parlor. Call me Kay for short. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about a lot of mental health, faith, and community. So, as I walk us through this wonderful, brief mental health presentation, I want you to take as much information as you can with you on this journey. And again, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. So let's get right on. Oh, hey, friend, hey. I want to give you a few pointers. I want you to get to know me as I get to know you. I born and raised in New York. Okay, all my life. Then I decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to head back to the Sunshine State, which is Florida. So I'm currently a resident of Florida. I'm also a clinical mental health counseling student pursuing my master's, future licensee. Woo woo. I am more than halfway through with my degree, and I'm very proud of myself. In addition to that, I own a nonprofit organization called Mental Brew Mind and Me because I think coffee and mental health goes together for some reason. I'm also a content creator as well a personal and professional development coach. So if you need help breaking down goals and you don't know where to start, 2025 is right up under our feet. Go ahead, visit my website and book your free 15-minute consultation. So enough about me. Let's move on and let's talk about mental health. So I am bouncing because I'm excited to talk about mental health. What exactly is that? So mental health includes the emotional, psychological, and the social well-being all together, okay? It affects how we feel, how we act, and how we think for the most part of it. So some key points that influences our mental health would be how we handle stress, how we're relating to others, and what choices are we making in our life, right? The thing is, it's important at every stage. And childhood and our adolescence, and as well as we grow older and we become adults. In adulthood, mental health is with us. It's almost like, it's the air we breathe. It's with us. You need it. You can't really avoid it. It's there. So when we think back around 2020, I believe, when COVID started happening and people were getting sick, a lot of things on top of that, in addition to the sickness and the death tolls that were rising, a lot of people were out here losing their minds. And I think that I feel comfortable enough to say that because I'm included in that. I used to be married. I'm no longer married. And definitely, I was one of those marriages that dwindled or it down spiraled during COVID. That's when these loving eyes couldn't see, they started seeing. So a lot of people started going through or experiencing an all-time high for emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. And so I want to touch on that. I want to talk about that because that's very important. What is mental health and how do we cope with it? How do we build a healthier mental state and emotional state for ourselves, especially now because we're heading into 2025. We want to be more healthier about how we are establishing boundaries and about how we're cultivating relationships. So come on. Here we have some of our common mental health challenges, okay? Not all of them, but the common ones. So anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, PTSD, and eating disorders, okay? So let's look at the statistics. It says that 1 in every 5 adults in the US experiences mental illness each year. And while this may be true, let me go ahead and add some stuff in addition to that because there's much more to the mind than these clinical diagnoses. Mental health, it starts as simple as how we're feeling, right? Conquering emotions or being able to correctly identify emotions and things like that. So even sometimes finances could be part of the common mental health challenge. Relationships could be part of the common mental health challenges, and it is. So go ahead in the comments, if you will, Go ahead and list some examples of what you would consider to be common mental health challenges. And what are your thoughts on it? I do want to talk about in a later video anxiety disorders because that's something that I used to deal with. I used to have really bad panic attacks some years ago, where I felt like I couldn't breathe and I'd be on the phone. I'd be crying hysterically, my nose red, running to the clubhouse at an apartment that I lived at because I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. But all along, it was just an anxiety attack, me suppressing everything that I was feeling or going through and not necessarily talking about it or letting anyone in. And I want to show you in another video of how you can conquer anxiety disorders. But if you are clinically diagnosed, I do want to say this, and I say this with love, if you are clinically diagnosed, whether it be bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, PTSD, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, make sure you're taking your medication because we want you to be well and we want you to have a comfortable well being. That's very important. Okay, so I don't want you to go on Google trying to pre-diagnose yourself. And I'm guilty of that because I used to do that if I had like a stomach ache. I'd be on Google trying to like, you know, type in my symptoms and then it's telling me I got something crazy, that I'm like, no, that ain't possible. I don't think so. But there are signs and symptoms in mental health and some ways to identify if you're going through a mental breakdown or if you're headed that way emotionally. If you find yourself feeling sad or down, extreme mood changes, that's another way to identify that something's going on with your mental health. Physically, if you find yourself fatigued or sleep issues. So if you're either very tired physically or you're just not sleeping at all, something's wrong. If there's changes in your appetite, something is also wrong. Okay. So if you are excessively eating, something's wrong. If you're not eating enough, something is wrong. All right. And then when we touch on behavioral, that means like how we're acting. If you find yourself like withdrawing from things that you're used to doing, if you used to hang out with friends, but you're not doing it anymore, something's wrong. Okay. If you have difficulty concentrating, something is absolutely wrong. All right. So make sure that you are identifying the signs to know if you're experiencing any disturbances in your daily mental health. There's nothing wrong with that. And even if you don't know, I would highly suggest maybe getting with a counselor or opting into therapy. No shame, because I took 3 years of therapy. And again, that'll be another video. And we're going to talk about what therapy did for me. Okay. But if you find yourself experiencing any of these signs and symptoms, please, if you have insurance, go on Google. Um, Find a counselor who takes your insurance. And as well, if you do not have the means or the resources for counseling, meaning you don't have insurance, you can always still ask for sliding scales and fees. But again, we will touch on that so that you get a better understanding of what that is and how that works. Because also some counselors do provide free counseling sessions, and that's called pro bono for certain reasons. All right. All right. So some factors that do influence our mental health would be genetics and brain chemistry. So that deals more so biologically, either mom or daddy passing down a gene or just something happens where, you know, maybe you have a child or an adult who might have certain other um, conditions that they deal with, like autism would be one example, right? But when we also look at other contributing factors that do influence our mental health, we have to also look at trauma and life stressors, things that we go through in the daily. If you're working a job you don't like, you have a supervisor who's constantly stressing you out, that could be one. As well, something that you might have gone through in your childhood that you don't feel comfortable talking about or saying out loud because maybe you're still in denial about what happened. So, therefore, it's a trauma. Socially, relationships and community support also influences our mental health. It influences our attitudes towards things that we are pursuing, whether academically, professionally, or personally. So finally, we've gotten to my favorite part. Okay, we're going to talk about the strategies for maintaining your mental health. Okay, I got to maintain mine, you got to maintain yours, right? So if I have to do it, you have to do it. So self-care tips, that is priority. Okay, um make sure that in this busy, crazy, hectic life that you're living, that you are implementing some self-care routines. Practice mindfulness and meditation. Exercise regularly. Stay connected with your loved ones, but make sure you're also prioritizing sleep. Okay, don't be like me. I'm starting to find myself sleeping a lot lately, and I always say, "Oh, it might be my old age," and I'm only 31. And it's a little joke, but definitely for a healthier quality of my mind and my emotional state of being, I find myself wanting to rest a lot more, and maybe because too I be busy, so. Rest is definitely something that I prioritize. So make sure that you have that in order. If, okay, those things are not working, you need to seek help, professional help. Talk to a therapist or a counselor. You can always go on Google if you live in New York, you live in South Carolina, Texas, Georgia, wherever. Whatever city you're in, type on Google that city and then, counselors accepting new clients. And make sure that you opt into therapy. You support hotlines. If you are not willing to, you know, um, start your journey with therapy or counseling, please pick up the phone and call a hotline because that helps too. And you don't have to wait until you're at the brick wall to pick up the phone and call. Call if you feel like you're on your way there. All right. Because we want to make sure that you are feeling good, you're doing good. And again, if you don't feel comfortable with that either, please leave comments here on the video, and I will reach out and provide some resources as well. Okay. So, we have to talk about supporting others because support is what makes us feel heard and understood. So, how can we help? We're going to talk about things that we can do in the green light and things to kind of do, like kind of slowly press on the brake with the yellow light, because there's certain things that we do and we don't want to do when we are supporting others when it comes down to mental health. So the green light, okay? Listen without judgment. Y'all know that game. We listen, but we don't judge, right? So make sure you're listening and you're not judging. Allow the person to talk and vent or be vulnerable with you. Offer support and encouragement. It's important, again, to listen, but also, again, make sure you offer some kind words of encouragement. If you don't know, now you know. Educate yourself about mental health. What you don't know, come here to my YouTube channel. Learn so that if you have a friend or you have a family member who's struggling, you know how to help them out, okay? And then as well, encourage professional help if needed. If you're dating somebody who's on medication, it's only right to encourage them to take their medication. If they are not clinically diagnosed, but you see they're going through something emotionally and mentally, it's only right to go ahead and encourage professional help. There's no reason to be offended by that. So let's talk about what to avoid. There are two things you want to avoid, okay? Dismissing people's feelings. Let's not do that. Okay? And then offering unsolicited advice. If you don't know what you're talking about, be quiet. Okay? The best thing to do, think about customer service. If you don't know, always say, I will go ahead and try to figure out some information or find out from someone who does know, because that's very important. All right. So those are the green lights and the yellow lights. Let's move forward. Okay, so this I love. This is another favorite part of mine, resources and tools, because I think that everyone, as long as you have a brain and you have emotions, you're gonna experience some highs and lows within your mental health. And so there are organizations, there are hotlines, and there are apps that you can download and that you have access to in case you need help. So, the NAMI, or National Alliance on Mental Illness, as well as MH8. So, Mental Health America, you can always, if you need help, you're running from something or somebody, get in touch with them. Hotlines, you have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 988. If you know someone who's experiencing suicidal activity or attempts, failed attempts at that, please have them call that hotline, okay? As well as crisis line that you can always text home to 741-741, and let them know what's going on. If you're not sure what services they offer, you can always ask and they will provide that information to you. Some good apps, or two good apps, because listen, there's no affiliation here, but I do have these apps on my phone: Headspace and Calm. So what I love about Headspace is it's more for productivity, but also with your mental health. So you do have like an AI um, companion who checks in on you and makes sure that whatever you have scheduled for throughout your day, whether it's sleeping more, listening to music, meditation, that you're sticking with that plan. Calm is an app that's more so dedicated to like meditation, sounds, and things like that. So if you're into that, I would definitely recommend downloading Calm and downloading Headspace if you have Apple or Android. It should be in the Android store, but I'm team Apple right now. So, yes, those are your resources and those are your tools. Again, this is the basics or the must know, okay? Can I just go ahead and say I enjoyed y'all through this brief presentation? As we close out, if you have any Q and A's, because obviously this is not live, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will answer them. I do want to say thank you if you stayed and you watched this full video, or at least some portion of it. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell. I do want to let you know that if you need to get in touch with me, or if you'd like to create your own personal profile on my website, go ahead and visit mindandme.co, create your profile, sign up. There is a forum, all things mental health and goals dedicated, as well as, again, it's faith-based community and business. If you would like to join me on TikTok or Instagram, my handle is on here. It's CMHC underscore Kenyana. Hit the follow on Instagram and on TikTok. Catch me live on TikTok sometimes because I be chilling and I want to get to know y'all. I'm building community. I'm excited. So until next video, I shall see you soon. Later.